is the day I live for every year, that we put the battery chargers away and we're done for the year. Oh my God, this has been a long time coming. I think the good weather is finally here, and we have one more part to buff on him, a day or two to put them together, and we'll be back out on the open road. But this is such a big day. To get this stuff put away, the fish are eating, the battery chargers are going back in the closet. If we're alive this time next year, we'll put them back out in the shop here. And by the way, I passed my physical. They said I have at least one more year to live. So the battery chargers are put away for the year. We're going to go into a more relaxing mode here. A day or two from now, 3 if the weather doesn't cooperate, we'll be having this guy all back in one piece, I hope. And it'll be just like it never happened. And that really is a miracle. That really is something special. But to me, each one of the bikes are special. And the reason they're special is because every one of them I've got my blood in and my heart, my soul. I love riding every one of them. I wouldn't trade any of them. I'm not looking to buy more motorcycles. I love the collection I've been able to accumulate over the last 52 years. It has served me well and gives me a lot of things, a lot of reasons to wake up in the morning. And the bikes that I've owned since they were brand new, like the R1, every year I just get a closer and closer relationship with them. Do some little modifications, do things to personalize them, make them more comfortable. More enjoyable to ride, I guess is the right word. And as I get older, I'm adapting the bikes to my lifestyle. But the FZR, in all the years I've owned the FZR, and all the track days, and all the things that have gone wrong, and the gas leaks, and the, oh my God, fuel pumps and everything. Boy, oh boy, it's been a great adventure. And we're going to continue that adventure. A couple more days from now, I hope we'll be out riding this. And that's always my goal in life, is to have every day just a little bit different than the day before, just a little bit more exciting. Something I didn't plan coming down the road, something that might be enjoyable, and something, of course, that I can share with my friends through YouTube. I'm really not sure what it is about the fish I like so much. It's very relaxing coming out here at night, very relaxing coming out here in the morning. Now that everybody's happy, time to look at what we got to do today. Let's sequence up a day. That part's ready to put back on, of course. I wanted to see if this dried totally flat. Yes, it did. All the areas worked out great. That looks like it's in the bank. Now we're actually ready to put that back on the bike. But because of, well, the mirrors too. The mirrors are ready. They come out great. I bought some new thread lock for all the parts. I wanted to make sure I got a short list. A lot of new bolts that have to be replaced. And I have my little thing I want to do on the side, which I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that today. But now that part, this one buffed out beautifully yesterday. This one, because it's up there even an extra day, what I think it means is it'll buff out even easier. But I guess we're going to find out. And once the yellow bike is all put back together and we've got it ready to go, I clean off the workbench and I can take over on two things I wanted to do. I wanted to paint these mirrors just to have them in stock and finish up the bodywork on Glenn's bike and get it out of here. His rental is going to the moon here. And the whole idea, of course, is to clean off the workbench, clean off all the stuff that has to be done, have a clean workbench. The riding season is coming like a freight train down the tracks, and I really want to ride every day if possible. A little bit of hot water with Dawn in it, some Mirka 1200 sandpaper, pretty much the same as yesterday, except this part being flat should be a little bit easier, a little bit less time consuming. We're going to find out. I'll do the same thing I did with the other part. Pick a spot about the size of a playing card. Not really critical. Anywhere there's a stripe, I want to go over it extra. I want that to be perfectly flat when you run your hand over it. I'll take the sandpaper, and once I feel it's not cutting, turn it 90 degrees. I get four shots at having really nice sandpaper. The Mirka 1200 is a good quality sandpaper that I've had good luck with. And I've had some sandpaper that I'm not happy with. The Mirka is good. And so is the Rhino Hide. That's two good brands that I've found. You get a lot of sanding out of a sheet of sandpaper. But anyway, this is going to be a long, time-consuming, boring process. So what I typically do is I try to cut it about in half, go up, have a coffee break, make sure my birds haven't pooped on my car, that it's a different color, make sure my fish aren't jumping out of the pond, hang out with Karen for half an hour or so, then come back and do the other half, because to be honest, it's boring work. And it doesn't matter to me, because I know at the end of this day, these parts will be ready to put back on the bike. And that inspires me enough, it gets me motivated enough. I don't need a lot more than that to keep me motivated for the whole day. And we are coming up on a riding season where I would like to clean up the shop. Maybe another week or so I'll have this cleaned up. We'll start planning out some really nice rides. Now, again, I always show the first one in real time. That's pretty flat, except you can see, here's the issue. You can see there's a shiny line where I'm trying to candle it, where the yellow meets the white stripe. Now, so that means I've got to do a little more sanding there. But again, this is just redundant, boring. And when a whole part looks like this with no little shiny spots, then we're basically ready to buff. Now, as I'm finishing up the end of the white, this stripe, and actually anywhere where it breaks to the yellow, there's a double amount of paint on that because we've painted the yellow white and then yellow. So what I did in the course of spraying the clear, I put a lot of extra clear over this, and I really want to be sure, and over the decals, that I'm not skimping and trying to save 10 minutes of sanding. I really want that to be, well, as good as I can make it, because to me this is a little miracle having this part back. Now keep in mind, if you go to eBay and you try to buy one of these parts or somewhere, you might find one, but it'll probably be in worse shape than the one you have. So to me it's always worthwhile trying to salvage, and that's why I developed all these techniques with the carbon and the CA and everything, because I want to be able to salvage the parts I already have. I don't like buying an extra set of parts. Now I actually have an extra set of bodywork for the green bike, so at some point in time I could make a whole set of bodywork. In fact, I even have a spare tank. I can make an evil twin out of that I can turn it into the Ninja and turn it into some kind of custom something, I don't know what. But anyway, the white is done. I think realistically we're ready for a coffee break. Oh man, when you get to this point where you can see some progress, that's about, I'm going to guess, 1/4 of the job. And because I've been doing this every day for the last week, I'm tired. Now, before I even go up and have coffee, I can see there's a little spot there that's still shiny. And there's a little spot there I don't like. So it's very easy now to pick up the spot. Now that it's dry, I can see it's right here. And the whole trick here, I think, and it's something I've been buffing paint for over 50 years. Back to the old days of DuPont white and red compound. But believe me, one of the things I've learned is the amount of time you spend sanding. If you spend an hour sanding, you'll save 3 hours of buffing or something like that. And then the buffing part of it is so rewarding and just perfect. Once you start buffing it, and then you see that spot that you missed, because it will show up, and you want to, there's a little spot right there. I hope this camera can pick that up. I'm not sure it can. Yeah, right there. Can you see it? See, now this is the way. What I would say, if I could get that point across in the video, that it's gotta be flat. It can't be one little speck. And that's why I put a lot of extra clear over the decals, a lot of extra clear. I've heard that, like the Ammo NYC people, they put 5, 6, 7 coats of clear on a car and then block sand it between coats and stuff. Well, I don't know how that relates to a motorcycle, but I know the system I have. The idea is when this bike is like the green bike is going to be 5, 6, 7 years old, I want to be able to just hit it with a buffer and there's still enough paint on it. I always want extra paint on it. I don't want to have a, 5 years later I'm going to go through the edge of the decal. I'd rather put the paint on, and I'd rather pay the price right now. And there's no substitute in my book. An extra cup of coffee sometimes, and the more breaks I take, the better I can use the time that's available. I'm coming up on the end of this, and we're ready to, once I dry this off, and I'll double check it for any little flaws. And I definitely will not have to go to the gym today and do push-ups. Any day. Anyway, this is going so nice and smooth, I'm probably going to get to go to Miles's Little League game this afternoon. If the weather holds up. You never know. But we've enjoyed his interaction with the Little League, and of course I was a star of my Little League team. A real star. He let me carry the water bucket, I think. Anyway, this is pretty much ready for the buffing operation, but I will go back over it, candle it several times, because anything I find that's a little shiny spot now, when it buffs up, it won't be that obvious, but what'll happen is I'll see it in the final product. Now, we have really had good luck with the 4CR 8065, and if you can't get a surface that's 2500 sanded flat to buff up in a matter of seconds, I don't know how else I can help you. This is the best product I've used. Meguiar's is a very close second. Now the idea here is to find out, show in real time what, again, I'm picking up a bigger spot than I really should. I really have to. Just concentrate on one little area, of course, at a time. This is definitely the best material I've found for doing this kind of buffing. I would probably think this would work on any kind of paint too. Now what I tend to do is back and forth, side to side, just keep moving the buffer around. But a lot of people say they just move it in slow motion. Some of my friends in modeling have found that just doing it very, very slow is the answer for them. I think it doesn't matter. That's the bottom line. As long as you, and I know you can do these parts. Well, we did the back wheel of the motorcycle. Maybe we did the front wheel too, I don't even remember. Anyway, I'll show one little spot here, just to see how long it's going to take for this to come up. I don't expect this to be an all-day thing, maybe an hour to do the whole part, hour and a half. But until I see every single speck of paint on here shiny, the day is not over. Well, like they say in Breaking Bad, it's over when I say it's over. Anyway, I always like to show it in real time. It's not quite the same when you do it with a lot of camera cuts. You tend to think they jury-rigged it or something, but let me see if I can show that. Again, this gets a little difficult to show. But there we are at the flat sanded area. Now I didn't even bother to put a new pad on this because the compound is still wet from the day before, but I think once it dries out, it's probably worth putting a new pad on. And they're so cheap, it's ridiculous. 2 for $3, I think. Now there is always some area, in this case it's in this scoop here, and in around here, that it's probably best not to try to stick a buffer down in there and have it take a chip out of the paint. Now, I've bought a lot of products over the years, and many years in fact, that on the product it says, do not use on machine. It's made for hand compounding, and some that say they are made for machine compounding. Now, I don't know which is which here, and because I don't speak German or any other language, but what I found with this product, this works good by hand, just what I'm doing now. In fact, if you didn't have a buffer, you could buff the whole part by hand. It just would take a little longer, and maybe at the end of it you'd have Arnold Schwarzenegger arms or something. Something that women would find very, very unattractive. So anyway, this is the best thing I can say is this product. I'm pretty happy with it. I wish they would endorse me or something. Send me a free bottle of it or whatever. But anyway, it doesn't even matter because the stuff is so good I'm willing to pay for it. This is really an upgrade over anything I've used except the Meguiar's stuff. The Meguiar's stuff was real good too. I really don't want to poo-poo that, but of course I haven't tried them all. And Ammo NYC makes product, so if you're so inclined, the stuff Glenn had was pretty good. Having the right product is half of the whole issue. Now the next step on this panel is going to be, I want to get off all of the 4CR product, get a dedicated pad on the big buffer, and put a coat of Flitz on this. The coat of Flitz is not for any more high gloss. We've got this high gloss enough. What we need to have is the protection, because this is relatively new paint. Now what I usually do is have each pad, as an example, there's a pad for cleaner wax. When you're going to use the finer compounds, you want the black pads. The black ones from Harbor Freight seem to work the best. Here's the Flitz pad. Here's the Flitz. And we're ready to Flitz it up. Now just remember, the Flitz is basically, in this case, just for protection. I'm not looking to make it any shinier. It's great metal polish. It's great over paint. Great over everything, but trick is don't put a lot on. Keep a dedicated pad. Even better, buy that buffing ball. That thing works great. So now we're done with our 2 laundry buckets, at least temporarily. And there's only one thing left to do today. I need to paint the back of that flat black. Now, to me, just thinking about how that part was not too long ago, and that we've been able to do a re-restoration of it, I guess that's the right word. Now, the flat black I used on the fairing dried up just about as nice flat black as I could possibly hope. There are parts of this I see when I turn it. You sit on a motorcycle, you can look down into the fairing in certain spots, but just as easy to paint the whole thing flat black. Boy, that's all flitzed up now. That's all ready to go. This was an amazing, I call it a miracle, maybe, I don't know. I don't know about miracles, but boy, I'm really thrilled with that. And the passion I have for this, that looked like the fire went out the day this bike went over, that fire is back. This is the paint that we used last time. It's a satin black. Got it from Lowe's. Is about $3.50, $3.95 a can. Seemed water-based because what I don't want to have happen is right at the edge of the fairing. I don't want any bleed around the edge of the fairing, or just, this really makes a good choice. And the idea is to get right up to the edge, Try to get a neat edge if possible. And the 99% of this you don't see, but the part you do see when you look down from sitting on a motorcycle, I don't like it at all when you look down and you see something that doesn't look workmanlike. And what I found is, I thought this was, the other day when I did inside the fairing, I thought this was going to take like 10 minutes. It wound up taking a long time, but well worth it. Another little detail, and this is probably the end of all we're going to get done today, because basically we're headed out to the Little League game here as soon as this is ready to dry. Get some clean clothes on and head out there. That'll just be one extra little detail touch. And every time I sit on a motorcycle, I'll be thinking, better looking at that flat black, even though I hate flat black. Well, you can bet your bippy I'm happy the way that worked out. Next time we get a time to do a session, we're going to start the assembly. And I hope that'll be the final assembly, not the next, before the next restoration. Maybe I'll learn how to ride between now and then. Anyway, this is my little miracle. We had the miracle on a Hudson. This is the miracle of Rutherford. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Smile! Come on, Miles! Come on! Oh, Miles is at his favorite thing, the Little League game tonight. Oh, God.
Stop, you go home. They need a, when you guys are cheering Alejandro on, that picked him up.
He's the one giving out gum.
Nice.
Who did you guys know who's up first? Because
Andrew, we're gonna cheer for Andrew.
Like 6 or 5.